It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue to celebrate the fathers. Here's a question. How are you earning your frequent father points with your children? Well, this morning we are chatting to one of our favorites, obviously human potential and parenting expert, Nikki Bush, about the important role fathers play in their children's lives ahead of course, Father's Day. Nikki Bush, welcome back to the show. Very good morning. So great to connect with you, but I'm going to start with a bit of a tough question this morning, and maybe a cold, hard fact. How many children are growing up in South Africa right now without a father figure? Fill us in.
Good morning, Graham. Very sadly, around 60% of South Africa's children are growing up with absent fathers, and that is a massive, massive figure.
That is incredible, and it speaks volumes about what the mothers are doing to fill that void in this country. But I'm going to ask why dads are so important in their children's lives. Why do we matter?
Well, dads really do help children establish how to value and respect themselves. So this groundwork is so important because it is going to be the foundation for the rest of their lives. So how dads respond to their children from the time they're born onwards is critical. And I just think about myself recently. I'm very fortunate to still have my dad in my life. And I was woman down, not man down. I was woman down with COVID while you've been bouncing around the UK, 2 weeks in bed.
Wow.
And you know who sent me a message and phoned every single day? Was my dad. And it reminded me again of a time when I was 16 and had my wisdom teeth taken out. And I just was in a really bad state for a week. And I remember him just coming and sitting on the edge of my bed every single day. And he just used to stroke me. You know, it was just that acknowledgement of my pain and where I was at. And so how are you showing up as a dad? Because your role is critical.
And this is a question as a father that I ask myself every single day. And the joy of being a dad, obviously, it's a two-way flow of love and energy and stability. I mean, my kids, my little man, especially after the travel craziness that I've been through over the last few days, he was my rock, and I hope that I was his rock as well. Now, we've come across a particular term that I need you to explain to me, please. What does the Papa effect stand for?
Well, it's an acronym that I created a few years ago, and I think it's just so relevant when it comes to dads and how they show up in their children's lives. So the first P in Papa stands for being present, and that is both emotionally and physically present in your children's lives. And the second letter is A, so be available. Don't be so busy that your children think that you don't care. And the third letter is also a P, and it's be protective. Fathers are traditionally very symbolically, physically protective and emotionally protective of their children. And then the third P stands for proud. You know, you are teaching children to value themselves by valuing and believing in them. And the final letter is be attentive. A for attentive. Pay attention. This means that you need to listen, you need to talk, and you need to share parts of yourselves with your children. So that sums up the Papa effect.
I was going to say, add an L there and throw in some extra love as well, because I've got to say that's where, for me, being a dad really comes to life, is that shared for love. But we can't go papal this morning. I love that acronym, and that's something I'm going to lean on every day. If you guys at home want to find out more about this, especially if you're a father, grappling with the notion of what it is to be a dad, we've got more father talk coming your way in just a bit. Stay with us.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our conversation with human potential and parenting expert Nikki Bush about the importance of fathers in our lives and the Papa effect. Nikki, welcome back. Just a bit of a reminder, please, because this is something that I think all dads can lean on every day. Just remind us what the Papa effect is.
Super, Graham. So we have PAPPA. So the first one is be present. The second, be available. The third, be protective. The fourth, be proud. And the fifth, the final letter in Papa, is be attentive. And all of this encapsulates your expression of love and commitment to your children.
Because it is a commitment, and the joy is then you get that love returned to you exponentially. Now, what are some of the ways that fathers can earn those, I'm going to call them frequent father points, if you will?
Absolutely. I love this term, frequent father points. So, for example, a dad and daughter date, or a father and son adventure. Yours was recently in many airports internationally. And camp with your children, even if it's just in the garden or the lounge. Fathers don't have to be superheroes. They just need to show up as everyday heroes. And never forget, there's a timbre in a dad's voice that is so different to a mum's. So read stories to your children, because the sound of your voice is really important. Things like building braais and fires and testing pool water. And I just remember my kids being on the roof with my husband with a chainsaw and cutting down trees and branches that had grown into the chimney, and just watching them all. I was on the ground looking up, watching them all having this most amazing adventure. And, so dads often tend to do things that are a little bit different than mums. And I was having a quiet giggle watching Jamie making the funny bunny pancake just now and remembering something that my husband used to do with my children. And when my son was 14, he said to his dad at the dinner table, "Dad, remember, flap your wings and fly." And I looked at them and I said, "What is flap your wings and fly?" And it was an adventure they used to have in the kitchen, making fruit smoothies in the morning. And our story went like this. My son was, 2, 3 at the time. And Dad used to say to the kids, "Flap your wings." And they used to stand on the floor and flap their wings. And he used to pick them up and then fly them like aeroplanes around the kitchen, and then land them next to the Magimix. And only then could they press the button to make the fruit smoothie. And that game was called Flap Your Wings and Fly. And my kids remember it to this day. So what memories are you creating with your children?
And that is why I have a bad back, like many fathers out there. I myself didn't have the opportunity to know my father, but some amazing male role models stepped in and they were there for me. How can those male role models in our lives be there for children?
Yes, so with 60% of our children not having fathers present in the home, we really need other men to step up to the plate to fill that gap. And so all the things that we've mentioned, other men can do with children. So my wish for this Father's Day is that children enjoy both the toughness and the tenderness of either their father or a father role model. And of course, today in South Africa, with father role models and people stepping up to the plate, this might include uncles, it might include grandfathers, and believe it or not, mothers and grandmothers who are filling that space. So here's to anybody who is taking up the role of a father in a child's life today, because your role is critical in how they will value themselves and respect themselves and allow themselves to be treated moving forward in their lives.
And I will say to my mother, who was that father figure, along with some incredible male role models, even my friends who have stepped up over this wedding journey for me, again, to all the father figures out there, we are sending so much love. And Nikki, I know that this is going to be a particularly emotional time for you, so we are sending you all of our love. We know that you are stepping into that role yourself. We love you and we appreciate everything that you do for us. I'm going to be leaning on the Papa effect every day from here on out. A father's presence is needed. That was our human potential and parenting expert, Nikki Bush, sharing some more invaluable insights with us into the parenting dynamic of father and child.